Sure.
It's a regular old edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC. It's just a normal Monday. My name's Ken Swanson. It always has been, and it never will be anything different. And I'm here with my two friends, Matt Hamilton and Maddie Lane. Matthew, hi.
Hello. It's not, okay, we'll be clear. It's not a normal old Monday. There was huge Chiefs news that happened today that shook every Chiefs fan to the foundation. Shane Buechele has come back to join the Chiefs as the backup quarterback. It was not Bailey Zappi. I know there was a lot of people out there in the kingdom that thought Bailey Zappi would be coming back, but I think the Chiefs got one look at that arm in preseason play and said, absolutely not. Maybe Tyquan Thornton said, if you do that, I'm sitting out again. There's no chance I'm letting him throw me another football and miss by 20 yards. I don't know, but Shane Buechele is back. It's one of Patrick Mahomes' good friends. I'm sure the Chiefs are happy to have another SMU alum on this roster. Yet again, Clark is loving that with that huge Chiefs news that dropped today, Hamilton.
I mean, I'm surprised why they're not watching Phillip Rivers doing what he's doing right now. Give Joe Montana a call, see if he can come back, throw that 19 on one more time.
I saw Matt Castle said he was available. So, Cast Dog, you want to come back? Let's get him back in here.
I think the best outcome for this whole saga would be someone that has done content for KCSN playing quarterback. So yes, Matt Castle, Chase Daniel.
I thought you were referring to yourself for a second.
No. So did I. I was like, wow, this guy's just elevating himself up into the team right now. Like, what the hell?
Dude, I'm not even on the depth chart for a podcast network.
Okay, that's honestly
pretty sure
that's kind of brutal, right? Like, it's like you played quarterback, but you're right. Like, if we were to build it out, you're not making the too deep.
Here's the best part. Like, Anthony Sherman's been on this network before. I'm pretty sure he was an emergency quarterback for this team at one point. Ooh. Like, that's 3 right there. Jeff Allen's getting the call before I am. Like, Jeff's getting the call. I mean, Colquitt. Does Colquitt have a career pass attempt? Please tell me, I gotta know.
I would be shocked if he hadn't.
I don't think so, because as soon as they had Tommy come in, he slung one out there like a machine, and I don't ever remember that from Colquitt.
Might give Tucker a chance back there.
Dustin Colquitt has a completion in his career.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
1 for 2, by the way.
There you go.
We are climbing. No, we're descending rapidly down the KCSN quarterbacking depth chart right now. So there we go. I have zero chance whatsoever, even in our own network. just so far down the list. But we appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. Kent Swanson, Matt Lane, Maddie Hamilton. How are we doing today, buddy? How are we feeling?
Hanging in there. It's a tumultuous time in the Chiefs Kingdom, but I'm hanging in there. It's been a good day. We got Christmas around the corner, which the Chiefs can't possibly ruin that for anybody. So yeah, it'll be great.
Thanks for reminding me about that. Like, you're like, yeah, Christmas is here. Oh wait,
they can't ruin anything because they've already ruined everything else in my life.
That's
so appreciate that. Yeah.
I've never, and I gotta say, Tucker. I've never seen Tucker like that. This season has done a number on our poor Tucker Franklin. We gotta band together. We gotta figure out some way to pick Tucker's spirits back up after this because I never thought I would see him in the state he's in right now.
We can see Tucker. I can see Tucker. I don't know if Hamilton, because I have the producer view or whatever of the show. I can see Tucker right now, and he's just like curled up in a hoodie right now, and he's just big chilling. Just like, I mean, he's going through it a little bit. He's going through it a little bit right now. So Hamilton, we're not gonna do Hammy's thoughts on this game.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
That's our gift. That is our gift. That is our gift to you.
Now, what I do want to know real quick,
Mhm.
how did you enjoy sitting down on Sunday watching every second of that Chiefs Titans masterclass?
Every second.
Every second. That was one of the most painful watches I think I've ever experienced. I got to be honest. Every part of it, just pain. As in, not even would take the Chiefs out of it, just as an enjoyer of football. That was one of the most brutal watches of all time. I got to be honest.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I appreciate you watching it.
Oh, I did. I
Anyway.
did. Because I got to be, I got to be prepared here. I did have other games on the screen, of course, but I had it up. I had it up all the way through, all the way through. It did not leave my screen, no matter what.
Well, props to you, my friend. You are truly a real one, because that was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what we expected. I don't really know what
I mean,
yeah.
listen, this is what you wanted. You said last week you want them to lose. You want the draft pick. So you got what you asked for, Kent.
You can't get blown out while trying to win against the Titans, though. Like, that's the problem, is they were trying to win and got blown out. That is where the fault lies. You know what? We already did this once before.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep rehashing this. It was a disgusting game, and I have a feeling that Christmas is going to be no better.
Oh, I have a feeling Christmas is going to be worse.
Much, much worse. Yeah.
I
So
think
just like go in and pretend you don't want to win. Then I think that's the move.
I think that is the move too. I think the Las Vegas Raiders team we saw against the Texans yesterday beats the brakes off of the Kansas City Chiefs if they come with
if they play like that. Yeah.
Hey, there's like me and Matt have been playing, we've been talking 8-9 scenario, 8 or 9-10 draft slot scenarios all day, trying to figure out like, hey, you know what? There's a shot here. They could be the 9. They could be the 9th pick, 10th pick. The math is mathing. The math is actually in favor of the Chiefs picking in the top 10 right now, which is just crazy to think about. That's not the big news of the day, though. We do need to start off with the big news of the day, the announcement that the Kansas City Chiefs will be moving to the state of Kansas, appearing that it looks like probably going to be the Legends area. Not probably. It's going to be in the Legends. The facility, the actual stadium will be in Wyandotte County. Looks like the Chiefs practice facility in that operation will be moving to Olathe, Kansas. Stand up, Olathe! Let's go. I'm a little hyped about that. I'm from Olathe, Hammy. But yeah, some pretty big seismic news for the Metro, and I know it's being taken different strides for a lot of different people. Maddie Lane, first off with you, just reactions to the Chiefs moving to the state of Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, typically here on the lab, we've kind of like avoided this subject just because I don't think any of us have been particularly passionate about it when there's been all the rumors and going on. But now that it's official, I feel like it's time for it to come up a little bit. And I mean, I don't know. As somebody that lived in Kansas City for my childhood through my like young adult life, and then now moved away to North Carolina, I don't think whether I was there or here, I would care if they moved from where they are in Independence just across the border to the Legends area. It would have been the same drive for me when I'm coming to visit, same drive to me when I live there. There is no difference to me on which one I drive to. I do not care at all about your Missouri versus Kansas debate in that. None of that matters. It sucks that they're moving away from Arrowhead to the building. I understand the history of that. And if people are really connected to it, I get it. I've also seen other NFL stadiums and I've seen Arrowhead. It's time to update it or move somewhere else. And the way it folded, it's going to move somewhere else. Like from that aspect of the move, I get why they're moving. I understand the Chiefs needed as much money as they could possibly get. Hey, Clark Hunt, you're an NFL owner to a T. And that's fine. That is what NFL teams do. And so they pick somewhere to move. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't care about the move necessarily. It is fine. I understand it. I don't think I have a big reaction to that. My only complaint, and I don't have too big of a complaint here, is sounds like we're getting a dome, 50-50 on if I like that or not. I could be talked in one way or the other, not a huge fan, and it sounds like you're getting less seats, and it sounds like you're about to get the most cookie cutter, suburban, copy and paste dome stadium that everybody else gets, and then you're going to expect Midwestern people to fill that stadium at premium seats. And I don't know if that's a winning formula for the area. This is not LA. It's not a coast. It's not Dallas. I don't know if that is the right way to go about getting the best engagement or attendance at a stadium in the Midwest, Kansas City, Kansas area. So, we'll figure out from there, but I don't love that aspect of it.
Yeah, and the dome really bothers me too. I was hoping, I know it's not all set in stone yet. I know there have been rumors that it might be retractable. If that's the case, because it's all, and the reason they're doing this, if you don't know, like because they want to host a Super Bowl at some point, and you need to have that if you're going to host a Super Bowl. It's not happening without that. The only exception they made was New York, but that was because it was New York. So that's why the dome is a sticking point here. That would bother me because it totally changed. We have too many dome stadiums as it is for that same reason. We don't need another one. It loses the atmosphere a ton. And I gotta say, like, I have emotions about this. I'm upset about it. Arrowhead is an iconic place. I would have loved if they could have updated that. I understand there's a lot more that goes into it, but you're losing an iconic venue in sports, and there are fewer and fewer of them. And I will say too, like growing up in the New York area, getting a nice new stadium is not always an upgrade. Giant Stadium was a special place. That place was loud. That place had energy. That place had juice. The acoustics were different. Like you felt that crowd. That building would shake. And that does not happen at MetLife Stadium. That place is a crypt. And they went for one of these luxury things and made it this nice, cushy new stadium, and it lost all of its character. And I really hope they don't do that to the Chiefs, because Arrowhead, whatever else you want to say about Arrowhead, yes, it needs a faceless. Yes, it needs some things. That place has juice, and you're not going to be able to replicate that. Again, the laws are different with what you can do. The rules are different in the NFL with what you can do at these stadiums. It's not going to be the same type of building. And I just don't want to see what happened to Giants Stadium, to MetLife, happen to the Chiefs. That is my biggest fear in this equation right now.
Yeah, a lot of conflicting emotions for me, right? Because like I love Arrowhead. I've got a ton of great memories at Arrowhead. And I know some things that some people want to hold on to about Arrowhead. Probably we're going to go away anyway, right? Like we're going to talk about affordability. Like the Chiefs, it's already really difficult to go to a Chiefs game from a cost perspective at the current Arrowhead. I don't think that was going to change. I think that was going to exist for the future regardless. Might be more expensive now. We'll find out. I think it might have been time to move on to something new. And like maybe it was existing in Jackson County and it's a near replica or something like that, or something relatively close, maybe a little bit more modernized, maybe retractable roof on an existing structure, stuff like that. But the deal that Kansas gave them was extremely sweet, and there's a lot of opportunities for Clark Hunt and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Hunt family to make a lot of money. So that's really what happened here. I mean, that is the truth. And I think Clark wanted, to copy paste a little bit of what Jerry Jones did down in Dallas. I think he's going to get the opportunity to do that. I think it was a pretty bad faith effort, honestly, when you look at kind of the renderings of the things that they were going to add to Arrowhead to try to, modernizing it. Was really just like, I think someone described it as like gold parking stuff. Like, it's like the gold, it's just basically amenities for the gold parking lot people. Right. And when you kind of looked at it, everyone completely rejected all these new renderings because it just looked kind of half-hearted and it looked slapped together. And it didn't seem like it was a great faith effort that they were going to actively, it didn't seem like they were really that intent on it. And voters rejected some stuff there to support that vision. So I think, you tell me. You look like you're about to jump in with something, Maddie.
Yeah, who's saying it's not going to look the same where it is now, though? Like, that's what all these new stadiums look like, right? That's my fear. And it's kind of like going to what Hamilton was saying. Like, when they changed over MetLife, like, it wasn't that the stadium looked bad when it was empty. It's just you get in there and you create this that feel becomes, it's corporate now. It's now you're just in there and it no longer feels like an authentic, gritty, real stadium. And not a lot of NFL stadiums have that. And it works some places, right? Like the Rams playing where they are now, where that doesn't have that feel, completely fine, right? Like that matches everything about the vibe of what they have going on. And maybe eventually it gets there over time, or maybe eventually it breaks out and it doesn't fit. I don't know. But what who the Chiefs have always been and how they are. And again, there is a difference between being an LA team, a New York team, a whatever team, and a Midwest team like what the Chiefs are. You need that kind of authenticity. You need something that feels real, that feels like football. And I mean, I do agree a little bit. The dome takes that away. If it's December and I'm not feeling a chill watching football in the Midwest, we're doing something wrong. And so a dome hides that away from it a little bit. I think the chance that this comes out and is just this giant glass dome out there next to wherever it's going to be in Kansas, and then you walk in there and everything just looks blah. It looks like the same cookie cutter, construction grade build that throws up 800 houses in the same neighborhood all the time, just the stadium version. Like, that is going to be a little sad. I do think it'll be sad if it comes out that way. And if we're going about everything that we're talking about with Clark Hunt and be like, hey, it's a guy that likes money, and we're dealing with the report cards that say maybe he's a little bit of a penny pincher, we really think he's not getting the cookie cutter stadium to save as many costs as he possibly can in the process? It's like, I have my concerns about what the actual stadium looks like. I don't care about the move. I just don't know if I have faith that they are going to be able to capture the same feel that we have had for Arrowhead. And I do think that is a huge step down for fans that get to go a lot.
And I will say, even with you're bringing up in New York and LA, and even with the New York, like it really alienated a lot of fans the way they did that stadium. And that season ticket holder list was like a 30-year wait list to get Giants season tickets. And then they brought in the PSLs and all of that, and they priced out the hardcore fans, and it was it turned into a super corporate environment there. And you don't want to see that happen. You don't want to see that happen in Kansas City. And the one thing I'll say, like, if this does create a big boom in revenue, you got to hope it funnels back into the team somehow, some way. And those report card grades, if they continue to be released publicly, get pulled up a little bit, and these players are happy and all of that. You want to see that reinvestment, even if it's not something that the fans feel. You want it to at least be something that the players feel inside those facilities.
Well, this is exactly why Clark Hunt wasn't upgrading the practice facility, because Kansas is going to build him a brand new one. Wyoder does come up with a great idea, or does bring up a good point that Tucker and BJ made, that if we're trying to save a little bit of money here, just bring the troughs back. In the men's rooms, just bring those bad boys back.
I will say all super chat donations will go towards naming rights for the troughs. If they bring back the troughs, KCSN naming rights will go towards the KCSN piss troughs at Arrowhead Stadium. Every super chat is going to go to that.
The Tucker D. Franklin Memorial
piss troughs.
What if we
Memorial? Yeah. Tucker's got 5 years left. What are we doing?
No, that's okay. It can be Memorial. You can remember while alive.
I just wanted to be Memorial. Yeah.
So, the Chiefs have a connection to Delaware College, correct?
Yeah, the Blue Hens.
Buddy, do that.
Yeah, buddy. So what if instead of the trough, we just bring over the Delaware Blue Hens piss wall? It's not even a trough anymore. It's just the wall. Just the giant pee wall that you just pee on.
Let's go, Nagy. That could be your contribution.
Saving even more money. We just get the piss wall. Well, you know what? We'll just take it from Delaware. We'll just get the used one.
The Nagy Veach
piss wall.
We're gonna take a break and recover.
It's a real
thing. After this.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, you know, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Missouri, your moment is finally here, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day. The tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KCSN. New Missouri customers bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code KCSN. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
The big news out of Arrowhead today is some of the quarterback news. Obviously, that is a big story that is hitting right now with the Chiefs in their situation. Gardner Minshew, believed to have torn his ACL, evades that. It's still an injury, still something that's going to put him IR, but he does avoid an ACL injury. That's massive.
A plateau fracture.
There we go. Something that should have him ready for the start of the 2026 season, which might be notable if we come back to that a little bit. But Shane Buechele, as Maddie mentioned, back in Kansas City on the active roster with Chris Oladokun. Those are your two quarterbacks for the remainder of the season. Those are the two that, hey, look, there's 2 games left. I don't know if this team legitimately has a chance to win either of them, but the quarterbacks for this team will be Shane Buechele and Chris Oladokun. Before we get into Buechele, the news with Gardner Minshew seems like he'll be back. Do we think Gardner Minshew's the odds-on favorite to be back in Kansas City and the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs if Patrick Mahomes is to miss any time? What say you, Hamilton?
Listen, I've been a big supporter of Gardner Minshew over the years. Big fan of his. I'm not a fan of what I've seen this year when he has had to play. I got to be honest, and I don't know if it was just being behind Mahomes and thinking he doesn't have to play. That's not a valid excuse, regardless. But when he got in at the end of that Chargers game, it was a disaster. He couldn't even get a playoff in time. The underthrow on that play to Kelsey, they had a chance to win that game, keep their playoff hopes alive, a legitimate chance, and he frankly he blew it. So I don't think he should be the odds-on favorite to have that job next year. I think the Chiefs have to evaluate all their options, and there are going to be, there should be some decent options there available. I don't think you can just walk into it and say, oh, Minshew showed enough to take over that job. I know, again, there's a lot of stuff we don't see behind the scenes, and I get that, but from the game action, and it is a small sample size, but the game action that we saw, It wasn't inspiring. I'll just say that.
For the Minshew thing, I have to start with Ian Rappaport's report calling it essentially a really bad bone bruise, which is absolutely asinine and incorrect. I just want to throw that out there. The fact that he called this as a very bad bone bruise was crazy to come out across the old Twitter sphere. That's first. Dan Sorensen did this, and he missed 9 months. And I'm not saying everyone's normal, but 9 months for, I believe it was, for like very bad bone bruise is pretty aggressive. Anyway, I'm with Hamilton. I don't think that Gardner Minshew looked good in any of the time that he's got out there for this team. I thought it looked like a guy still trying really hard to catch up to a system. And hey, guess what? In the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about why that might be. But in the meantime, he didn't look good. He didn't look good out there trying to get control command. Like, this isn't even about him throwing, managing the pocket, pressure, anything like that. He just didn't seem to have a great feel for what they were trying to do. He honestly looked kind of similar to Carson Wentz playing in week 18 last year against the Denver Broncos. He just clearly looked like he was swimming in water that he was not ready for. And that's, I mean, unfortunate. You know, it doesn't always work that way. So, like, I don't know if he's the odds-on favorite. I honestly feel like maybe they see something from Oladokin over the next couple games that says maybe he's ready for a backup role. And if not, I think they go back to the well, because like, you need somebody that at least has the ability to start and be competitive in a minimum a quarter to half of the season. Not saying that Mahomes can't be back by week 1, but you want somebody that you feel confident that can keep you competitive. And from what we've seen from Gardner Minshew, I don't see that. And I don't know what's happening in practices, but he doesn't look like Matt Moore. He doesn't look like Chad Henne, who had a control over the offense when they came in. They were just physically inferior to what Mahomes was. He doesn't look like that to me. I think there's a pretty big gap.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think the operations look clean with Gardner Minshew, and I don't know who that is an entire indictment on right now, because, I think there's a little bit, because like I think Gardner Minshew's looked better in other places. I think he's looked better.
Absolutely,
he's looked better in other places than Kansas City.
When he was in Philly and had to fill in for Jalen that year, they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. Like that, he looked really good. He looked really good when he had to come in. I don't know what's going on here in Kansas City, but I agree with you. He does not look like the same guy.
I have some theories, and we might get to them here in a little bit. But I guess the flip side of that is, I don't know. The Chiefs are going to have somebody that is capable of actually winning football games. I don't think it's going to come March. March is going to get here very quickly. They have to have somebody. They're not going to know definitively whether or not Patrick Mahomes will be ready in week 1 in March. And so the decision on the quarterback position has to be decided by free agency. At minimum, the draft going to be stunned if they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should draft Garrett Nussmeier in the 3rd out of LSU and just play him. You know, I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I'd be pretty surprised by that. So I think it's got to come from free agency, and you've got to find someone that you can actually win football games with. And I just don't know. Okay.
Yeah. And I pulled up the list right now of the impending free agent. Marcus Mariota, who's shown he can win some games. Tyrod Taylor, Kenny Pickett, Trubisky.
Terrified of that one.
Again.
Terrified of both things, actually.
Yeah. But again, I mean, none of them are ideal options, don't get me wrong, but there are options that are at least equivalent of Minshew grade material here that they can evaluate. And
do either of you think that Shane Buechele and Chris Oladokin, one of the two, can show anything that would give you confidence to say, let's roll with this guy? Like, do you think either of it has it in him? It has it in him to say, like, you know what, we'll roll with one of these guys for the start of the 2026 season if we have to? Do you think that either of these, like, do you think either of these guys can legitimately stake claim to that opportunity with a showing in the next couple of weeks? Do you think that's even in the outcomes, Hamilton?
I mean, I'm not going to completely write it off. We haven't seen enough from either guy in actual NFL action to be able to, to say firmly one way or the other. I think it's, it's possible. Like if one of these guys goes out there and absolutely lights it up, it could be something that keeps him in the cards. I'd say it's unlikely at this point. Pretty unlikely, but I'm never gonna say never, especially when it's guys that haven't gotten a legitimate chance yet, haven't gotten in a game where they've prepared to be the starter and gone out there and we've gotten to see what they can do. So, um, yeah, I would say unlikely, but possible.
I think that there's a slim chance for Oludokin. He has shown them enough that they continuously keep him around on the practice squad. Now, that typically means he's running a lot of scout team stuff, right? And maybe they've kept him around because he's good at that. Like maybe he just happens to be really good. It's really good scout team quarterback. Maybe he does a really good job of mimicking what they want a person to do of the opposing quarterback that's coming up. I don't know, but there's a chance. They've seen enough that they want to keep him around this long. They obviously chose him over Buechele at one point in time. I believe it was. So like, it seems like he would be the odds on favorite. I've seen enough of him in the preseason and even in that Titans game though. It seems like a lot of backyard football is like where he's going to thrive. And I don't think you go into a year trying to play backyard football with Chris Oludokin at 28 or 29 years old, getting, his third, I guess, at that point in time, real game reps. I just don't know if that can be the plan.
Yeah.
I'm a little fascinated to see, and we'll talk about Denver actually. I'll save it. I talked about we talked a little bit about the regression of Gardner Minshew and how things just did not look particularly good for him. And, I think he's been in a lot of different offenses to this point. And now he's in Kansas City and it hasn't looked comfortable, hasn't looked as good. Candidly, it's not been pretty. There might be some reasoning for that. And we were we've been talking about this stuff for the last couple of weeks. And I think you've kind of heard, if you've been paying attention to some of the discourse on social media about pure progressions and some of the quarterback, basically progression structures, some teams seem to adopt it and other teams seem to do it or seem not to adopt it. So I don't know. We thought we'd talk a little bit about that. This is one thing that, well, Maddie, I mean, something we've kind of wanted to ask the question of the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen a lot of different beat reporters asking about pure progressions here over the last few years, and we'll probably get into explaining that, but haven't really heard Andy Reid's opinion on all of that. Would love to get that at some point.
Trying to get it run up the flagpole. I'm working on it. I'm working on getting this run up the flagpole, Ken. Okay.
Ooh, I think I know. Okay. All right.
I'm working on it. We're cracking a very large jar of nerdy talk about to come up. So just be forewarned. This is, and I want to say anybody that gets really intrigued by this, tomorrow, sometimes this is a Monday when we're recording this, tomorrow on Tuesday, December 23rd, it's sometime in the middle of the day. I'm going to do a film room that you can find in the KCSN Discord. Subscribe to the KCSN newsletter at kcsn.com to get invited to the Discord. I'll do a film room that's going to go a little bit, I think probably deeper into this too, where I can actually show some film, draw some stuff up on a whiteboard to make it a little easier than just listening. But we're going to try to touch the surface here because I actually think this coming off of this game against the Titans is a perfect way to break into this. You got something, Kent?
I was just going to say we might wind up talking about this for 30 minutes.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. And this has basically been our group chat for the last 2 weeks. So
yeah, and Tucker is hating his life having to listen to it now instead of just read it.
The best. We have this group. We have this group. It's us three and Tucker, and it's like, hey, it's like our production text thread. And Tucker will just randomly drop in with just like random tweets, random TikToks while we're going off about pure progressions for like 45 minutes. It's great. Anyway,
really breaks it up well.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna try to explain what it is in the most basic level, because again, I don't know how deep into this well we can go to on a podcast. We're gonna see what we can do here. The most simplistic way I can put it is quarterbacks have to read the field, read the coverage, and try to figure out who they're throwing the football to. And there's two main buckets in the way they're trying to read stuff out. You are going to have what is called coverage reads, and you're going to have this. It's not new by any stretch, but the new age coaches are running a lot more of this, and it's called pure progression. Coverage reads is pretty simple. The quarterback is going to try to figure out, hey, is that single high or are there two safeties? Once we know that, are we looking at cover 4, cover 2, cover 3, cover 1, man coverage, whatever it is, we're trying to figure out the coverage just before the snap and just after the snap. And that is going to tell us where we start our progression. That's going to tell us where we look first. So half the field is going to have a route concept that is designed to beat cover 2, cover 4. The other half is going to be beating any single high and man coverage. And based on the coverage you see, you're going to start on that side, and it essentially becomes a half field read of reading 1, 2, maybe 3 players, and then you're kind of out of the progression. The other side of the field isn't dead to you, but for the most part, you're not really worried about that because that route concept is designed to beat a different coverage. So you're not paying as much attention to it until the play breaks down. Flip side, pure progression. And again, the new age coaches here, Sean McVay's, Kyle Shanahan's, Kevin O'Connell's, even in Buffalo right now, they're running a lot of this stuff now. Now, in pure progression, when you drop back, you are reading 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, however many players are in the route concept, you are reading 1 to that number straight in order, regardless of the coverage. There's different ways you can go about it, but the general gist is you are, no matter what coverage you see, you are starting with this guy that we have decided is number 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3, this guy's 4, this guy's 5. Is there anywhere else you guys want to like preface this off the top to make it a little bit, simpler so people can understand?
Well, Hamilton, I'll let you go first if you had something, because I do have a couple things.
I mean, I think that was a pretty succinct way of explaining it. Yeah, and there's a debate of, whether or not pure progression is stunting the growth of quarterbacks because you're no longer asking them to read coverages and take coverages into account. And that's kind of where this thing is going too. Are you hurting your quarterbacks in the long run by trying to take coverage out of the equation for them?
So I grew up and learned and based out of more of a, I guess we would call it a coverage read. The progressions weren't half field as much as, we still had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we would have to know what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was based on the coverage, right? So it was still full field read, but we would have to ball is snapped, read coverage, figure out the coverage, and then, okay, I know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 based on the coverage that I'm seeing. And what happened was, but I've talked about this. When Hamilton and me and Tuck were getting sushi, I think I even told him, it's like the version of football that I had to play in was a lot different than the version of football that we're seeing today. And this is the reason for pure progression and why it's changed the way it has, is because back in the day, coverage was a lot easier to read. And defenses couldn't disguise coverages or weren't disguising coverages as well as they are today. And so the onus used to be, because the coverage was so easy, the onus used to be on the quarterback. Hey, this is the coverage we're seeing. It was, honestly, the best way I can explain coverage 15 years ago, it's closer to Madden, where it's like the computers, it's true though. It's the coverage is moving a lot more robotically. It's not as dynamic. It's not as dropping to a man as much as it's dropping to space. And so it was a lot easier to read a lot of these coverages. And so the quarterback had more ability to process these things, and he could go through that progression. Today, defenses are so much more dynamic in how they cover, both like their cover 4. I used to love to see cover 4 because it was soft spot drop cover 4. And now it's like, it's tighter. There's, man match principles. It's a whole different ball game. And so these defenses are so good at masking coverages and playing these more dynamic coverages that are building in rules that allow them to move with players in the route distribution, that the onus went from, hey, the quarterback gets to see this coverage because it's pretty basic structures, to now the onus is now on the play caller to build plays that can work against any coverage. And the rules are about right for every single play based on whatever coverage. That's the two sides of this thing, and how the game has changed a lot over the last 15 years. Anyways, that was the only thing I wanted.
And the theory kind of behind why pure progression works is because regardless of what coverage it is, like the defenders have to cover certain areas of the field regardless, right? So no matter where they're coming from, those areas are being covered by somebody, and somebody's going to be open if you go through all your progressions, I think is the simplest way I could kind of put that, right?
Yeah. And so and I said, I was trying to keep it as basic as we can, because we can go talk about you can run a pure progression system where you're still reading defenders and coverage afterwards, you're just still going to be working across the field from the same preset 1 to 5. And then like Kent was saying, and even if you do coverage reads, you can have systems where you are still going to read 1 to 5 all the way across the field and not necessarily split it in half. There's different ways to do it, but I just wanted to start with those 2 big buckets. And like, I'm glad Clint brought it up. Defenses are changing stuff. They're disguising it now. They're making it a lot harder to figure out what they're running. And so when you have Kyle Shanahan or Kirk Cousins, and regardless of what you think about Kirk Cousins, he's a very smart quarterback. You have these guys that get up there and say, hey, when I'm sitting in a film room, I have my clicker. I have to go watch a play 4 or 5 times to figure out what the safeties are doing. Is this 2 high? Is this 1 high? What are we getting here? And then I'm thinking, how am I supposed to do that while live in a game when I only have 2.5 seconds to decide anything? I can't rewind it 6 times to figure out if it's going to be cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, like whatever they're running. So instead of trying to make me be correct off my coverage read like right after the post snap, why don't we just design out a play that should theoretically have an answer at some point in time in the progression all the way through? Now, this is where you get pushback from guys like Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, probably Phillip Rivers, if you really get him to dive into it. Some of these old head quarterbacks who played in a different era, they're just going to say, no, just get better pre-snap and right after the snap, read it out and just operate faster mentally. And there certainly is, like, there's a ground to stand on with that, right? Guess what? I think we can transition to the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes does a lot of that. The Chiefs run a lot of coverage reads. Can you compare them to a lot of other teams around the NFL? I actually think they do a lot more coverage reading, a lot more half field stuff than a lot of other teams in the NFL right now. Don't have any confirmation on this, just by watching what they do. Them, the Cincinnati fraud goals. There's some teams out there that do a lot more of this coverage read stuff than the pure progression stuff. And it typically goes with the quarterbacks that you think of as being highly mentally acute. You have guys that are very smart. They understand what they're looking at. So the Chiefs live in that world more than a lot of other teams. Go ahead, Kent.
Well, and I think one of the things that comes up with the skill players, and you've heard it talked about a lot, and like you'll hear them, some of the mic'd up stuff, you might get a couple glimpses at some of their rules. Like, I don't think a receiver is expected to structurally know and understand and read the entirety of a coverage every single time, but they are going to have to know a piece of it. And it's like, if we see X from this corner, you need to do Y. There's a lot of route adjustments in Kansas City's offense. And so that creates a lot of fluidity and a higher burden of trust in the from the quarterback and from the play callers to put you on the field. So you're basing, if you're not as much pure progression and you're more coverage read, you're going to run into a higher barrier of entry for some of the skill players. And I think that can create some challenges too, where a lot of guys, hey, maybe some of the development that you're seeing with some of these skill players, if they are running a little bit more of this, coverage reading, you're thinking more than you're, focusing on your precision with your routes. You're having to process and understand the adjustments that you're having to make. It's elevating the requirements of a skill player. So I think that's another little wrinkle that you kind of got to throw in there as well. I think presents some potential problems. And it does feel like, I don't think that the Chiefs don't seem to be just everything. It doesn't seem to be a pure progression team. It does feel like there's a lot more fluidity and dynamics to what they're running on any given play.
And like any team's going to do it all, right? Like the Chiefs do have pure progression stuff. And hey, guess what? Mesh is a pure progression play, right? Like they're going to be, and they run a lot of that, right? There's going to be a lot. There's still going to be both on every team, right? But the difference is how often do you do it and how matchup dependent are you with it? If you're going up against, Gus Bradley's cover 3, you probably don't need a bunch of pure progression stuff because you know what you're getting. You can make your route adjustments, right? Now, if you're going up against Spags, especially of 2 years ago, when he's throwing the kitchen sink at you probably might not want to try to guess his coverage because you never know which safety, corner, defensive end is dropping to the deep half, right? Like good luck trying to figure that out routinely pre-snap. So it depends on the team you're facing. But here we are with the Chiefs. This is where I think things would get back to the Chiefs and where this became really noticeable since the backups have had to come in. We talked about the operation that Gardner Minshew has. We saw it with Carson Wentz in the past. Like, look at what they're doing when they're out there versus how Patrick Mahomes is operating. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes has been absolutely perfect this year, but you can watch him operate this offense. And most of the time, he is very decided, very clear, and knows kind of where he wants to go. And even though this hasn't been like his best statistical year, it's not always his fault. he's played pretty well, and he's getting kind of to the right spots, right? He's finding the right side of the field. He's going to the right routes on time. He sometimes is waiting for guys to break open. Sometimes he's turning down tight window throws because the coverage adjusts and it's not what he wants, but then he knows where his answer is. And then you go watch Gardner Minshew, or I even think back to last year watching Carson Wentz, or even Oludokin, when they get the ball and they're trying to figure this out, it just seems like their head is spinning. They're getting to stuff, even in these coverage reads, they're figuring out what the coverage is kind of late. Then they don't know where they're getting to the first person. They're operating a little bit slower. And since you're putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback to be right, like that system falls apart. If you guess the coverage wrong, or not guess, but you decipher the coverage wrong, you have nothing works anymore. Your timing is going to be off because they're going to have your first, second, third read, whatever covered. And even if you try to get to the backside after that, it's over. The timing's now messed up because you needed to start over there. Your footwork's not in the right spot. Your hips aren't in the right spot. So I thought it became really evident that the quarterback is just not in sync with the overall game that is being played out there. And I think that just kind of goes to show how much pressure goes onto Patrick Mahomes to make this offense function on a play-by-play, game-by-game basis. And it only became more evident not as you get a less physically talented quarterback, but just they're not even able to keep up with the mental side, despite the fact that they've been here all year in the room with them and everything.
Yeah, and it is having those live reps, seeing it in real speed. There's only so much you can simulate in that classroom, up on a board, watching film. It is a lot to process, and it does speak to, and I don't think this is something Mahomes has ever gotten enough credit for, but the mental mastery that he has over the game, because everybody always focuses on the physical and what he can do outside of the structure of the offense, but he operates in the structure of the offense as well as any quarterback there is in this league. And he has since very early on in his career. And again, I think the physical stuff just kind of overshadowed that so much, but you're right. This experience has given some insight into just how much of a master he has mentally. And when you really look at it, just how much of what he's done and how much success he's had has been getting the ball out on time and early to the right people. And I know it sounds simple. It is very, very hard to do consistently well in this league. And he's been better at it than anybody.
Oh, he's tremendous. Like, I think from the mental processing perspective, it's not a Mahomes problem. I don't think the Chiefs have a Mahomes problem when it comes to, mental capacity or some of that kind of stuff. It's just, how do you best equip the team to have success? And that's where I think that there could be room for growth from a play calling perspective. Is it, what concepts you're basing out of as consistently, right? Like we talk about, mesh is a running joke in Kansas City now.
Yeah.
Try to introduce some more concepts here. Try to mix some things up. Try to add some things that are going to play a little bit better, and maybe don't require, like you said, not as many route adjustments, right? Like if it's not as organic, and like we're just, like some of the pure progression stuff, that doesn't mean there's no route adjustments, because there absolutely still is a part of it. But some are locked. Some are locked, and maybe you're a little bit more locked than you might see, in some other things. One thing about like pure progression stuff, and you kind of heard Kirk Cousins talk about it a little bit a couple weeks or last week, I think actually, is there is like this is something we were talking about, because like as we were learning about pure progression, it kind of started to blow my mind a little bit, basing it as somebody that's kind of like the dynamics of like, I grew up in you have to read the coverage, and your coverage that you've identified dictates the order in which your progression, runs. So it took me like a good day to kind of work through this entirely, but there is an elevation to this. And Kirk Cousins kind of talked about it, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you might move on from 1 and 2 very quickly because you're smart. And because the coverages, and like, and this is where I think Matt Stafford might be. This is why I think he is what he is. Some of these no-look throws are because he has time in his drop to set up the no-look throw, or to hold a window and keep it tight, or keep it wide, because he's already removed 1 and 2, and he knows 1 and 2 aren't happening, and he knows 3's here, and he knows 3's this dig's coming, and so he can spend his time looking over at 1 and 2, like I'm throwing it. Here we go. Oh, psych! Here's the dig. And I think that's the elevation to us. Like,
Yeah.
I think there is a world here, I guess, is what I'm saying, where like more of that, but then the quarterback still has a little bit of, because they're advanced, smart, some of these older guys, they can get through this stuff very quickly. And I think so this is, and honestly, I do think some of the pure progression stuff is set up to support young developing quarterbacks in a world where the Rolodex is just not there. And like why you see all these aging veteran quarterbacks and these old guys sticking around is because they're so smart and they can work through 1 through 5 and distribute the football.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because the preparation time has been cut with the new CBA that took place in 2011. Really cut down on the practice time, really cut down on the prep time, and it's hindered these quarterbacks' development. It absolutely has. So I do think that has a lot to do with it. But I do think you hit on something there because there is a lot of value, I think, in this pure progression stuff, but it has to come hand in hand with learning coverages and developing that side of the game. And I think that's where with Stafford, like you mentioned, you really do see it because when you have a mastery of coverages and you marry that with this pure progress, it's deadly because as you said, you can eliminate those options super quickly. I think that's kind of the ideal world is if you have those two things, and you see some of it from Brock Purdy too, and what he does with the Niners. I think he's incredibly intelligent, and yes, he may have some physical limitations to his game, but he processes super quickly. He's extremely intelligent and he eliminates things very quickly. He knows where he wants to go with the football more often than not. And because you do see too a lot of in the Vikings offense, in the Rams offense, they are doing things to get the coverage to tip its hand often, right? Like their motion, they're trying to see
But
whether
the
you're in man,
motions,
whether you're in zone. Yeah,
condensed
like
formations and motions are big pieces to help you get those beats.
Yeah, and they're absolutely doing that on a regular basis. So they are still trying to figure out what you're in. It's not totally dependent on, hey, just go through this progression, blindly. It is they're trying to understand what you're in and attack it. It's just, as you said, you can just eliminate things quicker when you know what the coverage is.
Yeah. And so a couple of quick things. I think I want to spin it forward to when Mahomes comes back too.
Mhm.
First, to Ken's point, like the rawest form of pure progression and the way it would be taught, I would assume it like at a high school level, you're reading receivers to, if they're open, you're throwing it. If they're not, you're moving on. So the rawest form is it literally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're throwing it as soon as someone's open. You're looking at your routes, not the defenders. At the advanced level, you get to Matt Stafford playing with Sean McVay. And or like Kirk Cousins talked about, okay, we know we're reading 1 through 5, but guess what? We can read 1 and 2 at the same time if we read the defender instead. And we can get that either out or we can throw it away immediately. Then we can go to 2, 3. And if we know 3 is also going to be covered because of the coverage we're getting, we can already get backsides. It's really hard to get 1 through 5 in an NFL game. Even the smartest quarterbacks are really going to have a hard time reading them 1 through 5 and checking them all out without getting perfect pass protection. That's why you see a lot of these young quarterbacks take a lot of sacks because they're trying to get through all of these progressions and they're not doing it quick enough. So there is 100% the advanced level is still reading coverage, but doing it for these preset kind of progressions 1 to 5 rather than trying to decipher at the snap where to start and then essentially cutting the field in half. So like there's definitely a bonus there. And I do think the best way to go about it right now is obviously incorporate everything, but get a quarterback that you teach how to read coverage. And then you put him in a system like this. And not only do you take something off his plate mentally, but you take a little bit off physically too, right? Now, as a quarterback, you only have to worry about being in the proper position to throw the next throw. You don't have to worry about reading everything and being 100% right mentally and then physically to deliver the ball. It's all tied. I know it becomes autonomous at some point in time, but you don't have to be thinking about it all the time. Think about how often we nitpick Mahomes, his footwork, or we nitpick his throwing motion or what he's trying to do or anything like that. If you remove the fact that he doesn't have to decipher every single bit of information, every single play, and let him go through a flow that is a little bit more set up for him to excel, I think that would allow him to play freer, to play less conservative, not have to make sure he's right about every single thing along the way. So I think that in the future is how you can incorporate that and still not necessarily say, hey, we're making it easier or we're not trying to dumb it down for Patrick Mahomes. We're just giving him more answers. We're letting him play more like himself. Guess who's done that? Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen and Joe Brady. They have almost entirely transitioned to a very heavy pure progression offense. Once they got rid of Ken Dorsey and went to Joe Brady, that's been what they've done, right? Like
That's why they're
been a
throwing
big
the
change.
swings so much.
It is. And that's
they-
been one of their big changes. And they've talked about it. He's like, hey, like sometimes I'd get out there and the defense would confuse me. And guess what? I hit 1-2, no one's open. Oh, now I'm backside. Everything's late now, right? And like I have nowhere to go. So now he's like, I have more answers. I feel more comfortable doing what I'm doing. And yeah, there's still plenty of playmaking Josh Allen moments. And I'm not saying he's been perfect either, but like you can be an elite quarterback that they make it easier for, and it can help you. And like Buffalo is a perfect example of how that's happened. Like this is just something that it doesn't fit the West Coast offense particularly great because everything happens so bang, bang fast. And that is unfortunately where we have lived right now. But I do think it's time to incorporate more of this. And I do think Mahomes' mental acuity that we talked about will allow him to play it more like a Stafford or an Allen, where he's getting through it so fast to the right spots because he obviously can read coverage very well. So it's just this game against the Titans made it very evident that they put a lot on his plate. But I think you can see if you spin it forward how it can also help Mahomes as well as whoever's going to be the backup.
And that's where you bring up Josh Allen too. Like, look at the impact. It's really when you really look at the impact it's had. It is significant. I mean, his interception. He was throwing it. People forget. Like, it wasn't that long ago that he was throwing interceptions at an extremely high rate, and those have been cut down tremendously since Joe Brady took over and went to more of this. Like he's been more responsible with the football, and I think there is an element of it where they kind of did lean more towards the side of dumbing it down for Josh, which I think has helped him. It's also, I think, caused some of the issues that we see in this offense, which I would hope if the Chiefs do like make more of a shift to pure progression, it is that more elevated version, because I think Patrick can handle it. Not to just totally slam Josh out, but I think there are some limitations that we've seen from Josh Allen there from a mental standpoint at times. God forbid anybody points out any flaws to his game, but that's another story. But yeah, I think Patrick could handle a little bit more of the elevated version. I think that's something I would like to see more of.
Micah, dig, D-I-G.
You sure about that?
I hope so.
Mr. Kareem Hunt is here.
En route. Okay. Let's do this because we knew this would happen.
Yeah.
30 minutes of pure progression.
Yeah.
What?
If Tuck wasn't over the edge yet, he is now. Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say. We're gonna give 30-second elevator preview on Denver.
Okay. Yikes.
Just you got 30 seconds.
30 seconds for all. I think we could do it 30 seconds for all three of us.
I think we might. I have one take.
Yeah, this is going to be an abject disaster. Especially with the Broncos coming off. The Broncos have let a lot of teams hang around this year. They've struggled against the Raiders. They are a team that will let you stay in the game. It's hard for me to envision that happening after what just happened against Jacksonville. And especially with the chance to just bury the Chiefs, and obviously they're still playing for the division. There's still so much to gain for that. I think it's going to get ugly. I don't see a way in which it doesn't get ugly unless Bo just turns it over a bunch of times, which is always possible.
Maddie,
I'm curious if the Chiefs like really try to win this game again or not. They tried to win against the Titans, got the shit beat out of them, which was sad. And so, like, do they go in this game and they try to win, or is this like, hey, do we finally see Jalen Royals run more than one route? Do we see that might have been I'm still pretty sure is a blocking route, or do we see Brashard Smith maybe get a couple carries? Like, did they actually try to play some of these younger guys, or did they save that special for Week 18? And see what happens there. I am curious at their approach, because I do think that they wholeheartedly tried to win that game against the Titans and they just weren't good enough. Now, the quick turnaround makes me not optimistic that they're just going to throw a bunch of young guys out there and see what happens. You probably kind of just have to play with the same unit that was just out there. I'm not saying guys quit, but guys are probably starting to make a lot of business decisions. Not a lot of fun to be playing football on a cold Christmas night. in the outdoor stadium like it should be. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm just curious their approach this week, because last week it was definitely to win, not to get young guys like more experience.
I really don't know. I don't think the Chiefs will win this game. No. Nope. Don't think so. They could be a little bit more interesting offensively, depending on what they try to do with Chris Oladokun. That's the one thing that I kind of look at and go, do they try to incorporate some things here with his athleticism, with his legs, to get him involved a little bit? Because that's the one wrinkle they could throw in here to try to, spark some things offensively, because everything else looks stale and incompetent with the skill players and with the talent currently on the field. So introduction of Chris Oladokun into the offense a little bit, does that change some things? Maddie, we were going to go on the clock. We're sitting at an hour.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay, I don't even need 2 minutes. I get one player. For me, this is a segment entirely just about stock up from somebody that I watched this past weekend.
Hold on, stop. Maddie Lane, you're on the clock. Tucker, can we please get the music?
Oh, sorry. I'll wait.
Thank you.
And the clock.
And the clock. Clock, Micah.
I forgot which music I play.
You can just sing it.
Yeah.
Whatever's in your heart.
This show would push Talk over the edge. He's finished with all of
No,
us.
that's Craig's. That's Craig's. You can't play that. Sure.
Yeah,
This will work.
that's fine.
No, I figured out which one it is.
Okay.
There it is. Okay. So we're on the clock. Like I said, I'm stringing this up as a stock up each and every week from a game that I watched this past weekend. We had a lot of fun college football playoff games. I think the game I want to focus on is the Miami Texas A&M game. You could probably pick any single player off the Miami Hurricanes defense that was dominant in that game. Ruben Bain Jr., Akeem Mesidor, both defensive ends I thought were great. But we're actually going to go with Keontae Scott. He's a safety / nickelback. He's a transfer from Auburn, number 0. He was hurt some of this year, and he came back for this game, and he was an absolute monster. He is one of the best, at the line of scrimmage, run assistance players from the slot that you're going to find in this draft class. Doesn't mean he can't cover guys, but his specialty is definitely kind of playing downhill, playing physical at and near the line of scrimmage. So if you're the Chiefs looking forward and you don't want to pay Trent McDuffie, or you're not going to play him in the slot, you want to get better than Shamari Connor, but you like the idea of the Tyrann Mathieu safety / nickel versus just a corner you bring off the bench, a guy that can move around a little bit more. Keontae Scott, safety / nickel from Miami. I think he's number 0. He's a guy to keep your eye on as they go through the rest of the playoffs. I think they play Ohio State next, so that'll be a matchup for him. But yeah, that's just that was my biggest stock up mover from this playoff weekend here. Keontae Scott, safety out of Miami. You guys got anybody?
No.
Perfect.
What I was gonna say though is, you look at the distribution. It does look like the Chiefs have about a 52% chance of securing a top 10 pick now. Most likely outcome right now is the Chiefs to pick 10th. 9, 10, 11 is really the range that is most likely for the Chiefs to be picking. Well over 60% chance that they are going to be picking. I think it's like a 68% chance they're picking 9, 10, or 11. That's kind of the range that you're looking at for the Chiefs. I think if you're kind of rooting for some things, you need teams to get to 7 wins, because the Chiefs are going to have most tiebreakers over any other teams that have 6. So, and tiebreakers in a bad way. They're going to be descending down the draft order with all the 6-win teams. They'll probably be the last 6-win team stacked up. So Atlanta somehow beating the Rams is a big one for you, for a Chiefs fan. Miami somehow beating Tampa. Those are 2 big games that could really kind of help give the Chiefs a chance to climb up as high as 9. I think those are the scenarios that help you get up to 9. 8 would take a lot of things that just aren't super likely to happen. But I think you're kind of hoping the Saints and the Falcons both get to 7 wins. And the only way that can happen is if they both win this week. And then I think you need the Saints to beat the Falcons the next week. That's right.
And you need
So,
Miami to
All
win.
right, so we're big Quinn Ewers and Tyler Shuck fans. Here we go.
yeah, it doesn't feel likely that Quinn Ewers is just going to go out there and beat the Bucks. The Bucks have been terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Lost 6 of their last
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
But if you get, I mean, one of those would be Tucker's doing the 6-7 thing.
Oh God.
I think he did that for someone, for Tucker, or for PJ
Yeah,
bringing up 6-7.
PJ said it would be off 670, and I did 6-7.
But yeah, I think those are the two big ones. I think that can kind of help the Chiefs. They've got to just flat out have less wins than a bunch of teams. Is really the outcome that you're looking for. Hopefully they can do that. But that's gonna do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
More QB read talk.